The day Falani sold her stepdaughter to a crippled man for gold, she signed her own death sentence. Falani's hands shook as she counted the bride price, more gold than she'd seen in years. Behind her, Zara stood frozen in her wedding cloth, staring at Kofi slumped in his wooden chair, legs twisted beneath him. The moment the priest finished the vows, Falani snatched the money bag and bolted, her wild laughter cutting through the compound. But Kofi wasn't watching her run. His eyes stayed locked on Zara, not with pity but with something that looked almost like relief. Hit subscribe right now, because the crippled man Zara married isn't who anyone thinks he is, and what breaks his curse will flip everything upside down. Don't skip ahead. You'll miss the moment that changes everything. Zara sat on the woven mat in Kofi's home, her wedding cloth still draped around her shoulders like chains. The room smelled of burning incense and something else, old paper and ink. Mama Abeni, Kofi's mother, placed a clay bowl of jollof rice before her with trembling hands. "Please," the older woman whispered, "be patient with my son." Zara's throat tightened. "Why did you pay so much for an unwilling bride?" Mama Abeni's eyes glistened. "Because the herbalist said only the unwanted one could save him." Before Zara could ask what that meant, Kofi's voice cut through the silence. "Mother, leave us." Mama Abeni hesitated, then shuffled out, closing the door behind her. Kofi wheeled himself closer. In the lamplight, Zara could see him properly now, sharp cheekbones, intelligent eyes, hands calloused not from labor but from gripping his chair. He wasn't what she'd expected. "I know what you think," Kofi said quietly. "Another desperate cripple who bought a wife, but I didn't choose you randomly." Zara's jaw clenched. "Then why?" He reached into his tunic and pulled out a small carved token, a wooden elephant with intricate patterns. Zara's breath caught. She knew that carving style. "Your father Tun the trader, I knew him," Kofi's voice softened. "When I was 12, bandits attacked my mother's caravan. Your father fought them off, saved my life. He gave me this token and said, 'When you're grown, honor means more than gold.'" Zara's hand flew to her mouth. Her father had told her stories about saving a merchant boy years ago. "When I heard Tun's daughter was being sold by her stepmother," Kofi continued, "I couldn't let you go to just anyone. This isn't pity, it's a debt of honor. You paid all that gold for honor. Honor and something else." He turned his chair toward a doorway covered by a curtain. "Come, let me show you what I really do." Zara was about to discover that Kofi's crippled legs were the least mysterious thing about him. She followed him through the curtain into a room that stole her breath. Ledgers lined every wall. Maps covered a large table. In the corner, 3 messenger birds cooed softly in their cages. "I run an information trading network," Kofi explained, gesturing to the organized chaos. 5 regions, 20 merchants. My legs stopped working, but my ears hear everything from here to the coast. Traders pay me for route updates, price predictions, warnings about thieves. Zara moved closer, scanning the neat columns of figures. "This is impressive. I need someone I can trust to be my eyes in the markets, someone who knew trading from birth." He looked at her directly. "I'm not asking you to love me, Zara. I'm asking if you want to be my partner." Partner, the word hung in the air like a promise. But what Kofi didn't tell her was that his crippled legs weren't from an accident at all. The Kimbara market buzzed with morning chaos, vendors shouting prices, children darting between stalls, the smell of smoked fish mixing with fresh pepper. Zara walked beside Kofi's assistant, Yemi, watching everything with her father's trained eye. That's when she spotted it. A cloth merchant using weights that looked wrong, too light when he measured customers' purchases, too heavy when buying from suppliers. She memorized his face, his stall location, the exact discrepancy. When she returned to Kofi's compound, she found him bent over his ledgers. "The cloth merchant in the 3rd row," she said without preamble. "False weights. He's been cheating both ways." Kofi's head snapped up. Tewo, you're certain. My father taught me to spot dishonest scales from across a market. A slow smile spread across Kofi's face. Your father trained you well. Tewo's been stealing for months, but no one could prove it. He pulled out a fresh sheet of paper. Here's what we'll do. They spent the next hour planning. Kofi would send word to the market elders. Zara would testify. By week's end, Tewo was publicly exposed, his weights confiscated, his reputation destroyed. Word spread fast. The crippled oracle and his silent hawk see everything. 2 weeks blurred together. Zara traveled to markets while Kofi managed the information network. She learned to read people's faces, their tells, their desperate lies. He taught her to think 3 moves ahead, to see patterns in chaos. Late one night, they worked by lamplight, cross-referencing reports from different regions. You missed a connection, Kofi said, pointing to her notes. Where? Here. The cola nut shortage in the East means prices will spike in the West by next week. Zara leaned closer, studying his calculations. Their shoulders touched. Neither moved away. Do you hate me for the marriage? Kofi asked suddenly. Zara set down her pen. I hated the trap, but you, she met his eyes. You gave me purpose again. You see me as more than just someone to use. Kofi's hand moved toward hers, then stopped halfway. The moment stretched between them like a held breath. The door burst open. An old woman stumbled in, breathing hard, her wrapper askew. Makna, the herbalist who lived on the village outskirts. It's happening faster than I predicted, Makna gasped. Bako knows she's here. Zara stood. Who's Bako? Kofi's face went dark as storm clouds. The man who did this to me. Makna sank onto a stool, accepting the water Mama Abeni brought her. In the lamplight, her face looked ancient and tired. 2 years ago, she began, Kofi's trading success made him powerful. Too powerful. Bako, a rival trader who practices dark medicine, decided to destroy him. Dark medicine, Zara's skin prickled. A curse, Kofi said flatly. Bako cursed my legs to ruin my family's reputation, who trusts a crippled trader, who respects a man who can't stand. Makna nodded. The curse was specific. You will not walk until a wife stays with you not from duty, but from choice. Bako believed no woman would ever truly choose a crippled man. Zara's mind raced. But I stayed. I chose to work with him. Exactly, Makna's eyes gleamed. The curse is breaking because you stayed willingly, worked beside him as equals, but Bako has spies everywhere. He knows you're here, knows the curse is weakening. Let him know, Kofi said. I'm not afraid of him. You should be, Makna stood, her voice urgent. Bako is coming to reinforce the curse. You have 3 days until the new moon. If he succeeds, the curse becomes permanent, and it will spread to Zara too. The room went silent except for the crackling lamp. Kofi turned to Zara. You didn't sign up for this. Take gold, leave tonight. I'll tell Bako you abandoned me. The curse stays, but you're free. Anger flared in Zara's chest. You think I'm like Fulani. I don't run when things get hard. But alone in her sleeping quarters later, doubt crept in. What am I doing? I barely know this man. Is partnership worth being cursed? What Zara didn't know was that Fulani had just made a deal that would bring everything crashing down. Miles away, Fulani stood in Bako's compound, desperation carved into every line of her face. She'd gambled away the bride price in 2 months. Now creditors circled like vultures. Bako lounged on cushions, a thick man with cruel eyes and rings on every finger. The girl is there willingly, Fulani said quickly. She's breaking your curse. Bako's expression sharpened. And what do you want? Half the bride price you'll get when you sell her after he's permanently cursed. Bako smiled slowly. Done. Bring her to the market tomorrow, make her doubt him. Once she leaves of her own will, the curse locks forever. Fulani's hands twisted together. She'd already sold her daughter once. What was twice? The market smelled different the next morning, or maybe it was just Zara's nerves. Kofi had insisted on staying home, claiming illness, but his eyes had held warning. She was examining dried fish when a familiar voice called out, "Zara, my daughter." Falani stood there, tears streaming down her face, her wrapper stained and threadbare. Zara's stomach clenched. "What do you want?" "Forgiveness." Falani reached for her hand. Zara stepped back. "I've been horrible. I was mad with grief after losing your father, mad with fear of poverty. Please let me explain." "Explain what? How you sold me like goat meat?" "That cripple is using you." Falani's voice dropped to an urgent whisper. "Everyone says so. He bought you like cattle and now you work for him like a servant. Is that freedom?" A vendor nearby nodded. "She speaks truth. A wife should be cherished, not worked." Another voice. "My cousin saw her hauling goods at the West Market. What kind of husband allows that?" The words burrowed under Zara's skin like thorns. She'd been so focused on the partnership, the purpose, the respect. But had she just traded one prison for another? She walked home in silence, Falani's words burning in her mind. Kofi was in his workroom. He looked up when she entered, and his face immediately creased with concern. "What happened?" "Did you marry me because you cared?" Zara asked, her voice shaking. "Or because you needed a worker?" Kofi wheeled closer. "Zara, tell me the truth. Am I your partner or your servant?" "Is that what you think of me?" Hurt flashed across his face. "After everything we've built?" Zara pulled her father's token from her wrapper and threw it at him. It clattered on the floor between them. "I think you paid your debt. We're even." She turned and walked out. Zara walked out, and that's exactly what Bako was counting on. She'd barely cleared the compound gates when men emerged from the shadows, 3 of them, broad-shouldered, moving with purpose. "Your husband's curse deepens tonight," the largest one said, "and you're coming with us." Zara tried to run. They were faster. Inside, Mama Abeni found Kofi staring at the token on the floor, his face stricken. "She's gone," Mama Abeni whispered. "The gatekeeper saw men take her toward Bako's compound." Kofi's hands clenched on his chair arms. "It's a trap. Bako has her." Makna appeared in the doorway, her face grim. "If you go to him now, crippled and alone, he'll kill you both." Kofi's jaw set with determination. "Then I'll crawl there if I have to." Bako's compound was bigger than Kofi's, decorated with stolen wealth, silk hangings, carved ivory, gold fixtures that gleamed in the torchlight. Zara sat bound to a chair in the center of the courtyard, Bako circling her like a predator. "Your crippled husband won't come," he said, his voice oily with confidence. "Why would he risk himself for bought goods?" Zara lifted her chin. "You don't know him." Bako laughed, the sound cruel and mocking. "I know he's weak. That's why my curse worked so beautifully. 2 years of watching him crawl, watching his family's shame grow." He leaned close. "And now I'll watch him lose you, watch the curse seal forever, and watch him die alone." "You're afraid of him," Zara said suddenly. Bako's hand struck fast, the slap echoing across the compound. "Watch your tongue. You wouldn't curse someone you didn't fear. You're afraid that even crippled, Kofi is better than you." Before Bako could respond, the compound doors burst open. Kofi sat in his wooden chair, pushed by Mama Abeni and Makna. The gathered crowd, Bako's people, curious neighbors, erupted in mocking laughter. "Look at him," someone shouted. "The cripple came to save her." Bako's smile widened. "How touching and pathetic." Kofi's voice cut through the noise. "Release her. Your fight is with me." "My fight is already won," Bako gestured grandly, "but I'm feeling generous. I'll give you a chance." He walked to Zara's chair. "Stand up and walk to her. Prove you're worth her. Prove you're a man." The curse thrived on humiliation. Bako knew Kofi couldn't do it. Kofi gripped the chair arms. His jaw clenched. Muscles in his legs trembled with effort. He pushed, straining, his face contorting with pain. Nothing. His legs wouldn't respond. The crowd's laughter grew louder. Bako's triumph was written across his face. Kofi tried again, his knuckles white, sweat beading on his forehead. Still nothing. Stop, Zara screamed, tears streaming down her face. Kofi, stop, you don't have to prove anything. But Kofi kept trying, kept failing, and Zara's heart broke watching him. You gave me dignity when I was nothing, she shouted over the jeering crowd. You saw me, not a worker, not a wife, just me. You listened to my ideas. You valued my mind. You treated me like I mattered. Her voice cracked. That's more than standing, that's strength. Real strength isn't in your legs, it's in your heart, and your heart is the strongest thing I've ever known. The air itself seemed to shift. A sound like breaking glass echoed through the compound, though nothing visible shattered. Kofi gasped, his eyes widened. His legs moved. Not trembling, not straining, moving. He rose from the chair, awkward at first, like a newborn foal, then steadier. His twisted legs straightened, the unnatural angles correcting themselves. The crowd went silent. Kofi took one step, then another. Then he was walking, stumbling but determined, straight to Zara. He reached her chair and dropped to his knees, working at her bonds. I see you too, he whispered, his hands shaking as he freed her. I've seen you from the beginning. Bako screamed in rage. No, no. He began chanting in a language that hurt to hear, his hands weaving dark patterns in the air. Maikna stepped forward, her own hands moving in counter patterns. A curse broken by true partnership can't be remade, Bako. Your power has no hold here. Light flared from Maikna's hands, meeting Bako's darkness. They clashed in the air between them, and Bako's curse shattered completely, the backlash throwing him to the ground. Village elders emerged from the crowd, their faces hard. Bako, the oldest, said, you have practiced forbidden arts, your compound is forfeit, you are cast out. Guards seized Bako as he sputtered protests. They dragged him away, still screaming threats that no one listened to. Kofi stood, truly stood, and helped Zara to her feet. They faced each other in the torchlight, and everything Zara had been afraid to feel came rushing to the surface. I shouldn't have doubted you, she whispered. You had every right to doubt. I gave you no choice in the beginning. You gave me every choice that mattered. If this story touched you, drop a comment telling me. Would you have forgiven Fulani? And subscribe for more African tales where love breaks curses and the underestimated rise. The guards threw one more person at Zara's feet, Fulani, caught stealing from Bako's stores during the chaos. Fulani looked up at her stepdaughter, at Kofi standing tall beside her, and something crumbled in her face. Please, Fulani begged, you're all I have left. Zara looked down at the woman who'd sold her twice. Every part of her wanted to walk away, to let Fulani face the consequences alone. But Kofi's hand found hers, squeezed gently, not telling her what to do, just being there. You sold me twice, Zara said, her voice cold as river stones. Once to Kofi, once to Bako. I know, and I. My father once told me, Zara continued, a tree that gives no shade will burn alone. She paused, letting the words sink in. You've given no shade, Fulani. You've taken and taken until there's nothing left. Fulani's head dropped. But he also taught me that mercy isn't weakness. Zara took a breath. Work as a servant in our household for 1 year, not as family, not as friend, as the lowest worker. If you show genuine change, real change, not performance, I'll help you rebuild your life. If not, you leave with nothing. Fulani clutched at Zara's feet. Yes, yes, anything, thank you. Don't thank me yet, you haven't earned it. 3 months later, Kambara Market had new gossip to trade. The crippled oracle, who walked now, though everyone still called him that, and his silent hawk had tripled their business. But more than that, They'd bought the old compound on the market's edge. Zara stood in the renovated courtyard, watching young girls arrive, sold daughters, abandoned orphans, unwanted children. Each one carried the same haunted look she'd worn months ago. "Welcome," she told them, her voice warm. "You're going to learn to trade, to negotiate, to see your own worth. No one will ever make you feel powerless again." Kofi approached, walking steady now, and slipped his hand into hers. They'd married again 2 weeks ago, a real wedding this time, with Zara's full and joyful consent. "Your father would be proud," he murmured. "Our father," Zara corrected, touching the carved elephant token that now hung around her neck. "He brought us together, didn't he? In his own way." Across the courtyard, Folani scrubbed pots under the cook's supervision. She looked up, caught Zara's eye, and for the first time there was something other than calculation in her gaze. Maybe remorse, maybe the beginning of change. Makna appeared at their side, her old eyes twinkling. The ancestors smile when the broken make themselves whole. Zara leaned into Kofi's shoulder, watching the new girls explore their new home, their new future. She'd been sold for gold and found something priceless. She'd been forced into marriage and found partnership. She'd been unwanted and became unstoppable. The woman who'd been trapped had set others free. And the man who couldn't walk now stood taller than anyone in Kimbara, not because of his legs, but because of his heart. If you believe the unwanted can become unstoppable, drop "unstoppable" in the comments below. Subscribe now for more African stories where curses break and love conquers.